Hello everybody. Ignore the empty shelves and possible, no, there's not too much chaos here. If you look down on the floor, there's chaos. I'm in the middle of moving, so this may be one of the last videos you see from this office here. We're gonna be moving into a new place next Friday, so things are a little chaotic around here, but this is good. I'm really happy about the move, and I'll share more about that later. What I wanted to talk about in this video today is actually the topic of regret. Somebody sent in a podcast question for my Hardcore Self-Help podcast about making a decision that they felt like was maybe impulsive or not the best decision, and now they're being crippled by the regret of that and sort of dwelling on what could have been. So it's a topic that I think is a really good one, so I thought I would make a video about it here as well. Regret is tough because it makes you less likely to make good use of the present. What I mean is there is rarely one perfect path. There's rarely one perfect answer. And the best thing that you can do is build trust in yourself and build self-efficacy, meaning you understand that there are always options there and there are many branching paths from any decision that you make. And you learn to trust yourself in your ability to adapt and make the most of that. That's the best thing that you could do for yourself, because rarely is there one path that's going to work out. Rarely is there one exact correct answer. And what happens is we make a decision and then we regret not making a different decision. We dwell on what could have been, what we anticipated was going to happen. And the thing is, that future that we envisioned for the other choice was actually just a guess. We don't know whether or not that was going to be the future that happened. You know, we make this choice and we think it's going to lead us down this path. Well, that's just a guess. And there's no reason to suspect that you taking the path you're on right now actually precludes you from that future you were expecting, that actually makes it so that future will never happen. It may be a different version of that, but that future that you were anticipating is just a guess anyway. It very well could be that that was not going to happen. And I want to talk about this because I have some personal experience with things not working out and then that actually being the thing that works out. What I mean is, I would not be here today in the position that I'm in if all the choices that I intended to make, all the things that I shot for and maybe fell short of, things that didn't work out, I would not be here today if they did work out. For instance, for my internships, so after I went through my doctoral degree, the final year of your doctoral degree in psychology and then the year after, you do a pre-doc and a post-doc internship. And I did not get my first choice for either of those. Actually, even grad school, there were other schools that I had applied to that I was thinking would be above the one that I did. But looking back now, everything happened, I don't want to say the way it should have or the way it had to, because I don't really believe in like fate or something like that. But I would not be where I am now if things worked out in the way that I hoped for them to work out. So for instance, my pre-doc internship, it's a match process. So you put in all of your choices for the places that you got interviews for, and you rank them, they rank you, and then you're matched at some point, hopefully. And I actually put a place in Arizona as my top choice. And I had applied to lots of different internships. Well, I got one in San Diego, in California, in San Diego, and it was a hard year. It was, I've talked about this before in my TEDx talk and elsewhere that, the 2014 year when I was on that internship in San Diego, it's one of the most difficult years for me and my wife. That's when she was hospitalized, actually. But that's also when I started my book series. And then after that, the postdoc internship, I was looking for like really solid, high paying, clinically intense postdocs. And I didn't get that. I didn't get interviews for them and things fell through the cracks. And instead I went back to work for somebody who I had previously worked with, which is who I'm still working with. And the situation was that I didn't have the promise of the hours that I wanted, but there was more room. And so I wrote a second book and I started a podcast and I have an online course now. And basically, if I had been in these ones that I was shooting for, I would have had no time to do that. I would have had no mental space to do that. And I could easily regret that because I didn't sort of live up to what I was hoping to live up to. But now, by trying to, I didn't dwell on that. I looked forward and was able to kind of push through and try to make the most of what I have going on now. By doing so, I'm in a position that very, very few people in my line of work are in. I'm not 30 yet. I'm turning 30 this year, right? So I'm 29. I have 2 books that I published that have done amazingly well, helped a lot of people. I have a podcast, this channel. I have an online course now, well into 6-figure income, and I'm not even 30 yet. And I know that these things would not be the case if things had worked out. So when you think about, the path that could have been, realize that path wasn't solid in the first place. And rarely is there a perfect answer. It doesn't take a lot of effort to find so many examples of people who didn't do what, their field or society or what have you prescribed for them as the appropriate path, but they worked it out and they have a life that they would rather have compared to where they probably would have been if they made the right choice or something like that, right? So rarely is there exactly one choice that is the right one to make. And it's all about trying to leave the past in the past so that you can more appropriately focus on the present and craft the life that you would like out of what you have in front of you. Even if you get that thing that you're trying to get, or you make that choice that you had planned on making, it's still up to you to make the most of that. So all of this is to say that regret doesn't help us at all. And we get in this scenario where our regrets from the past and our anxieties about the future squeeze out the present moment, and we're left sort of either paralyzed or flailing and not making the most of it. So if we can leave the past in the past, and we can understand that crafting a future that's really wonderful is possible, but only if we focus on what we have in front of us, there's a lot of potential there. So don't let regret pull you down. Regret is going to keep you in the past, but understand that there are so many different possibilities branching out from where you are now into the future, and you can make the most of that if you allow yourself to see the opportunities that are there. The opportunities because you didn't make that other choice, or because you didn't get that thing you were trying to get. This is what you have now, and this is what you have to work with. So focus on what you have to work with, and you can have a future that's as good or better than the one that you were anticipating. You just have to be open to it. So that's about all I have to say about that. It's on my mind just because of that question, and I do think a lot about the paths that I could have taken and how things would have worked out. But something that we have no control over. What we do have control over is right now. So let's focus our attention there and see what we can make of this life on this crazy rock flying through space that we all inhabit together. I wish you well. Have a good week.